Hello out there. It's week 3 of the NFL season, which means it's week 3 of the MCC season, and which means it's the week 3 edition of the MCC News. I'm your host, 5-time MCC champion, Alan Morrow. Before we get started, we just want to shout out our sponsor for today's episode, Big B Coffee. Today I'm enjoying their Energy Blast, which is flavored Blood Moon. Really good. As they go. When you need to pick me up, go Big B. So let's get to the news. All right. Week 1 rewind. That's actually week 2 rewind. Our first mistake of the day. Great start. But let's get to it. High points on the last week goes to myself, Alan. I scored 129.1 points, which is 3 less points than the week 1 high of Lee. So about 130-ish is right now the average of the weekly high, so it's really good on our league. With that, low points, as mentioned, Lee was high points last week. This week, lowest points of the week. He only had 76.7, which is surprisingly 3 points less than the low points of last week from James. He about had 79 and some change. So Lee went from champion, high points in week 1, low points in week 2, and on top of that, he lost Tua, Cooper Kupp, and Pachenko, all to long-term injuries. George Kittle may not play. His roster is actually pretty devastated. It was a very tough week, too, for our defending champion. With that, the next one, our closest matchup of the week, was my win over Adam. Adam's having a bad start to the season. He's 0-2, but his 2 losses are combined 14.62 points. He's actually been the closest matchup both weeks. And then next, our biggest blowout was Jim over Will. Jim beating Will by just over 27 points. And the next, only if I had a different schedule. This week, of course, it goes to Adam. He would have beaten all 11 other teams. He was the second actually highest scoring week. Just bad luck going against me this week when my team put up points. Tough break, but probably much better things for him to come. Or with his fantasy history, probably actually will sink even lower from this. So good luck to you in the future, Adam. All right, the next one, matchup of the week. This week we have the 2-0 Gabe versus the 2-0 Ben. So we only have 3 undefeated teams left in this league, Jim being the third one. So we're going to lose one of them for sure because of this matchup. Ben's off to a very rough start, only got 0.3 points for Vermonte Stevenson in Thursday Night Football. That was pretty tough for him. That's just really bad start. Let's see if he can overcome it. The honorable mention here, I've made this honorable mention before I actually looked into it even much further, is Will versus Lee. Will lost in week 1 to Lee and lost to Lee 4 times last year, including the championship game. So, kind of like, honorable mention, Will's on a long losing streak. I even dived into it a little further. Will is 0-12 in his last 12 matchups against Lee. Will's last win versus Lee was in week 10 of 2016. So, let's see if Will can finally, beat up Lee. Lee's very beat up as a roster right now, had to make a lot of moves. Will actually has A.J. Brown that's gone too. His roster's still a little banged up too. But let's see. But Will, 0-12, I'm just going to go on a limb. That's probably the longest losing streak anyone's actually had to another member of this league. It's actually pretty embarrassing there, Will. But best luck to you. If you don't win this week, Lee will officially own you. I think once you win 13 in a row, he legally owns you at that point. All right. And the next segment, It's Like Someone New, one of everyone's new favorite segments of the MCC News. Here we have Jim. Jim picking up Jordan Mason on Sunday morning before week 1. He played Monday night, had a great one. After that, CMC goes on IR just before week 2. Now Jim has a stud running back for at least the next 4 weeks, maybe even longer, for free. Didn't have to make any fab. Wonderful pickup by Jim. He already was deep at running backs. He's even deeper now. Then the other one, Like Someone New, everybody but Ben. After overspending $66 for Isaiah Likely gave Ben 3.6 points in week 2. Ben still won. It didn't hurt him that bad. But it's like everyone else knew that Isaiah Likely wasn't going to be worth that money. So, Ben, better luck to you in the fab budget. All right. Next, Tyra's Fab Thoughts. A lot of fab activity this week. Lee with the biggest fab spend of $37 on Carson Steele. There was 4 other bids. The next highest was Doug at $17. And then Lee also had the next highest bid of $17 for Braylon Allen. No other bids. So that was a $17 overpay. With that, 3 Kansas City running backs were also picked up besides Carson Steele. Clyde Edwards-Helaire was picked up by $1 for me, put on IR. Then I was able to pick up for free Samaje Perine. And then Jeremy picked up Kareem Hunt for free as well with a $0 bid. So everyone's just hoping with Pachenko out probably for 2 months. Let's see if one of these running backs can be a week-to-week starter. The next one would be Quentin Johnson to Will for $8. Tyra dropped him Sunday morning right before all the games started. Quentin Johnson went off for 2 touchdowns. Will was able to pick him up for $5, beat out Gabe's bid, or pick him up for $8, beat out Gabe's bid of $5 for him. With addition to that, Lee, with a lot of turnover, he picked up Carson Steele, Braylon Allen, he picked up Geno Smith, he picked up Xavier Legette, which he actually has now dropped to pick up Pratt Fryman because George Kittle might be hurt and missing the game. So Lee has had a lot of work there. So with those are our fab thoughts. And with that, let's end this. We'll be doing it from now on. Fuck the Cardinals. Thank you for tuning in.